Why did the room suddenly feel so uncomfortable when she stepped inside? No one could explain it. Nothing bad had happened yet. No words were spoken. No mistakes were made. Still, the air felt tight, like something unseen had entered the room with her. The music hall was bright but cold. White lights hung from the ceiling, strong and sharp, showing every corner clearly. There was nowhere to hide. Rows of wooden chairs sat in perfect straight lines, each one identical, each space feeling measured and deliberate. At the front of the room stood a black piano. Its surface was clean and shining, the lid closed. It looked untouched, like it belonged to someone important, like it was waiting for just the right hands. Teachers sat near the stage, relaxed and comfortable. Some leaned back, some crossed their arms, some talked quietly to each other. They looked calm, confident, used to being in control of rooms just like this. They had seen many people come and go, many students try and fail, many moments that simply did not matter. Students filled the back rows, young faces, restless eyes. Some whispered to each other, some smiled for no reason, and some looked at the piano with very little interest. A few were already bored. Then, she walked in. The door made a soft sound behind her, not loud enough to demand attention, but just loud enough to be noticed. She didn't wear anything special. Her clothes were simple, clean but old, faded from many washes. Her sleeves covered most of her arms, and her shoes were plain and worn. As she walked, her shoes made a soft, slow, careful sound against the floor. She didn't look at the audience. Her eyes stayed low, focused somewhere between the floor and her feet. Her shoulders were slightly bent, like someone who had learned to carry weight quietly. And not just physical weight, something heavier. A few people exchanged looks. "She's late," someone whispered from the back. Another voice followed, softer but sharp. "Is she even in the right place?" She heard them. Even though no one spoke loudly, she always heard things like that. She stopped near the door, not sure where to stand, not knowing if she should move forward or just wait. For a moment she thought about turning back, about opening the door again and leaving before anyone even said her name. But no one called her name, because no one knew it. One teacher finally noticed her and raised an eyebrow. "Who is she?" the teacher asked softly. The question just floated in the air. No one answered. Not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. She wasn't on their list. She wasn't part of their plan. The piano waited at the front. Silent. Heavy. Almost watching her. Its black surface reflected the lights above, cold and distant. She took one small step forward, and the sound of her shoe felt too loud. Then, another step. Her heart beat faster with each movement, every step feeling heavier than the last, as if the floor itself was asking her to stop. She could feel eyes on her face, on her hands, on her clothes. She felt small in that large room, smaller than she had felt in a very long time. The teacher cleared his throat. The sound broke the silence. "So," he said, leaning back in his chair. "You wanted to try?" His voice was polite, but something else hid underneath it. Something that didn't expect much. She didn't answer right away. Her fingers moved slightly at her side. A small, almost unnoticed movement, like they were remembering something old, something they hadn't done in years. I was told to come," she said quietly. Her voice was low but steady. A few students smiled. One laughed softly, then stopped when others looked at him. Another teacher pointed toward the piano. "Go on," she said. "Show us." The words sounded simple, but the meaning was heavy. It didn't feel like an invitation. It felt like a test she didn't ask for. She looked at the piano again. For a moment, the room disappeared. The chairs, the teachers, the students, they all faded. That piano wasn't just an instrument, it was a door as she had closed long, long ago. She had known music once, not as a hobby, not as a small skill, but deeply. Music had been her quiet place, her safe place. That was before life became about survival, before days were filled with work instead of dreams, before hands were used to earn, note to create. But no one in this room knew that. They only saw what was right in front of them. A quiet woman in simple clothes, with no confidence and no story worth hearing. A teacher leaned forward and smiled thinly. "Don't be nervous," he said. "Just press a few keys." The students leaned in, some with curiosity, but most with expectation. They expected wrong notes. They expected shaking hands. They expected something to laugh about later, something to remember as a joke. She walked toward the piano. Each step felt slower now. The bench was cold when she touched it. The cold surprised her. She sat down carefully, like she was afraid the bench might break, like she didn't fully belong there. Her hands rested in her lap. She didn't rush. That made the teachers uncomfortable. They were used to quick starts, quick mistakes. The silence stretched longer than expected. Someone coughed. Another student checked their phone. A teacher shifted in his seat. One teacher sighed. "Well," he said. She lifted her hands. Slowly, they hovered above the keys, close enough to touch, but not touching yet. Her fingers trembled, not from fear alone, but from memory. From things she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. She remembered small rooms, dim lights, late nights, playing music softly so no one would hear. She remembered hiding sound, hiding joy. She remembered choosing work over practice, food over dreams, life over passion. Her hands. Just before touching the keys, she stopped. Her fingers froze in the air. The room held its breath. No one knew why. No one understood what was happening inside her. No one knew that this moment was heavier than it looked. That this wasn't just about playing. This was about everything she had left behind. The first key hadn't been pressed yet. No sound had been made. But something had already changed, and the room could feel it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. What happens when a room waits too long for a sound? No one spoke. No one moved. Her fingers were still in the air, close to the keys, close enough to feel their cold breath. The silence felt heavier now, not empty. Full. A teacher leaned forward again, but this time he did not speak. Students stopped shifting in their seats. Even the bored ones looked up. Something was happening. They did not know what, but they felt it. Her fingers finally touched the piano. Just one key. The sound was soft. So soft it almost disappeared into the room, but it was clean. Not weak. Not unsure. Another key followed, then another. The notes came slowly, like steps on a quiet road. The teachers exchanged looks. This was not what they expected. Her hands stopped shaking. They moved with care, with memory. The melody grew. It was not loud. It did not try to impress. It sounded honest. The room changed. The cold lights felt warmer. The hard chairs felt less uncomfortable. Students leaned forward without knowing why. One teacher's smile faded. Another straightened in their seat. The woman's face remained calm. Her eyes were not on the teachers, not on the students. They were on something far away. Her hands moved faster now. The music deepened. It carried weight. Not sadness alone. Not happiness alone. It carried life. People felt it in their chest. A student swallowed hard. Another held their breath. Someone who had been smiling stopped. The piano filled the hole, not with noise, with feeling. Her fingers did not miss a key. They knew where to go. Years had passed. Life had changed, but the music remembered her. The teachers could not look away now. One leaned back slowly, eyes wide. Another pressed their lips together. They were listening, truly listening. The woman's shoulders relaxed. The room no longer felt like a test. It felt like a place she belonged. The melody rose 10 softened, then rose again. Like breathing, like speaking without words. A student wiped their eyes quickly, hoping no one noticed. Another stopped recording and just watched. The piano no longer looked cold. It looked alive. Her hands moved across the keys like they were guided by something unseen. Not force, not pride. Truth. When the final notes came, they did not rush. They slowed. Each one stayed a moment longer, as if the music was saying goodbye. Her fingers lifted. The sound faded. The room stayed silent. No clapping yet. No cheering. Just silence. A different kind of silence than before. This one felt full. Heavy. Respectful. The woman stayed seated. Her hands rested in her lap again. She did not look up. She waited. A teacher stood slowly, not with authority, with care. Another followed. Then another. Applause began. Not loud at first, 10 stronger. Students stood. Some clapped with tears in their eyes. Some smiled without knowing why. The sound filled the hole, but it felt small compared to what had just happened. The woman stood up slowly. She turned toward the room. For the first time, she lifted her eyes. She saw faces changed. Teachers who had judged quietly. Students who had expected a joke. No one laughed. Now, a teacher spoke, but his voice was different. How long? He paused, then stopped. He did not finish the question. He did not need to. She shook her head gently. I don't play anymore, she said. The words were simple, but they landed hard. Another teacher stepped forward. You should, she said softly. The woman looked back at the piano, then at her hands. She smiled. Not big, not proud, just real. I did, she said, just now. No one argued. They knew she was right. The teachers understood something they had forgotten. Talent does not always announce itself. It does not always look the way we expect. Sometimes it walks in quietly, wearing simple clothes, carrying a long story. The woman walked toward the door. Her steps were lighter now. She did not rush. She did not look back. She did not need to. The piano remained, silent again, but changed. The room felt different too. The teachers sat down slowly. No one spoke for a while. Students whispered, but not with laughter, with wonder. Outside the hallway was quiet. The woman stopped for a moment. She placed her hand against the wall, closed her eyes, breathed. Then she opened the door and stepped out. The sound of the door closing was soft, but it itched. Not in the hole, in the people she left behind.